Welcome to Fairfield Glade. This is a retirement resort community in Crossville, Tennessee. It's not a 55 plus community, although it is heavily retired. A lot of people move here for the amenities. We have 5 golf courses and 11 lakes, pickleball courts, a library, hiking trails, some marinas, lots of activities going on here all the time. So what I want to do today is just jump in the car and take you on a driving tour through Fairfield. And so hopefully this will give you an overview of what this community looks like and what it might like to live, or what it might be like to live here. So I'm going to start out by turning onto Stonehenge Drive. I'm at the area of Fairfield called the Square. We used to call it the four-way stop, but now there's actually a traffic light. It's the only traffic light within Fairfield Glade, and that would be to my right. In front of me, you see the Wyndham check-in facility and one of the churches, and also the Village Green Mall. So inside the mall, there's a Kroger pharmacy, there's a bank, a restaurant, and a few little shops. I think most of the retail has moved out of the mall, but it's also a gathering place for the community. There's games going on, craft shows, those kind of things happen there. And also on my right, and we'll turn in here, this is the center. And so this really is kind of the center of Fairfield. That's the name, but it also is the center. And in here is the indoor pool. There's a gymnasium, there's some conference and meeting rooms, a small coffee shop, place to sit and gather with your friends in front of the fireplace. But this is where a lot of events take place in Fairfield Glade. I'm not going to make a lot of stops. I want to mainly just do an overview through the community, but these 2 buildings are important because so many things happen here. This is the Covenant Health Wellness Center. There are a couple of doctor's offices in here. There's a rehab facility, and then there's a workout facility. So in the center, they have a gymnasium, but there's not really a workout facility. Now, there are some things that happen in the gymnasium, but this facility has workout equipment. There's an indoor pool in here also, and they have trainers on staff who will help you with your workouts. And again, I said there was a rehab facility, so a lot of people come here after surgery to do their rehab. And so this is a membership that is separate from Fairfield Glade. A lot of people choose to purchase this membership so that they can have the workout facility. We're going to continue on around Stonehenge Drive, and I just want to point out a few things along the way, but I mainly want you to get a feel for what it would be like to live here. How do the neighborhoods look? There are several different neighborhoods within Fairfield Glade. So Fairfield Glade is the community, but then there are different neighborhoods inside of Fairfield Glade. Turning right would take you over to the Stonehenge golf course, and along the way there are some of the Wyndham townhomes and condos that people come and rent. They're timeshare units, but they can be rented to spend some time in Fairfield Glade. One thing to note here is that these roads are very well maintained. These are all county roads, but part of the Fairfield Glade budget every year goes to reseal or pave or stripe these roads. So Fairfield does help the county take care of these roads because there are so many miles of roads in Fairfield that the county just couldn't do that on their own. You'll notice also on the right there's a paved walking trail, and you'll see several of those throughout Fairfield Glade. So it's a very walkable community. There are a lot of hiking trails also, and to my left was a parking area for one of those hiking trails. Now, those are not paved for the most part, but there are many miles of hiking trails that the residents here have developed for themselves and for the use of the residents here in Fairfield Glade. Now, this is one of the main roads, and so there aren't a lot of houses on this road, so you really kind of have to turn off of the main roads to see the neighborhoods and get a little better feel for the neighborhoods. And we might do a little bit of that, but you can see that there are some houses on these roads. Just, there are dozens and dozens of streets that turn off of these roads back into some of the neighborhoods. You can get a little glimpse of the golf course to my right. So there are 3 golf courses right in this immediate area: Stonehenge and then Heatherhurst. Heatherhurst has 2 golf courses, the Bray and the Crag, and they're all here off of this Stonehenge Drive area. The golf course that you see on my left is part of the Heatherhurst golf course. Anyone can play golf in Fairfield, but you get a better rate as a member. And if you aren't a member, you can get a guest pass and save just a little bit of money by playing with the guest pass. But these courses are all open to the public and anyone can come and play here. The golf courses are what attract a lot of people to Fairfield. They come and stay here for many years sometimes to play golf, and then eventually decide to retire and move to this area because they've enjoyed their time in Fairfield so much. The next thing coming up here is the Lake Dartmoor Marina. Lake Dartmoor is the largest lake in Fairfield, and so we'll pull in here to the marina. I think it's still open. It does close through the winter months, and if you have boats stored here, you can get a card that will open the gate. So it's still open today. So you can see that there are a lot of boat slips here. People can rent these slips to store their boats. There are some rental boats also, so if you just want to come out and rent a boat to drive around the water, you can do that. Some kayak racks, those are also rental racks if you want to keep your kayak here. You can also just rent spaces to park your boat if you don't want to keep it on the water, and so that's what you see here at the top. Most homes in Fairfield don't have garages that are large enough to keep boats, and you're not allowed to keep your boat in your driveway, so you either have to store it at one of the marinas or one of the storage areas outside of Fairfield Glade. You can see here the beach area. This is the end of September. Actually, today's the first day of October, so you don't see a lot of people in the water, but it's a really warm, pretty day, so picnicking. But that's a sandy beach area. There's some lawn chairs there, lounge chairs, so that you can come out and enjoy the water. Inside the marina, there's a snack bar and some seating area so that you can sit and eat and enjoy the views of the water. Another good view of the lake here as we cross over the dam. So all of these lakes are man-made lakes, and their water is controlled by the dam. And you can see some of the houses that are lakefront homes. So all of these lakes have homes around them, and so you can buy a house right on the water. You can have a private dock, keep your boat at your dock. They are all no-wake lakes, but they do stock them with fish, so there's a lot of fishing that goes on here. Now what you're going to see here is it's going to get much more forested. Not a lot of homes in this area of, this is, we're actually now on Catoosa Drive. Stonehenge Drive turns into Catoosa Drive, and this backs up to Catoosa Wildlife Management Area. Catoosa Wildlife Management Area is the second largest wildlife management area in the state. I think it's almost 90,000 acres now, and that's an area that is managed by the state to preserve wildlife. So it certain times of the year there's hunting available, but there's also hiking trails, and just it's a place that they work to manage wildlife, specifically white-tailed deer. That's one of the big ones. One of the things that we're about to pass is the Good Samaritans facility. The Good Samaritans facility is a assisted living and full nursing care facility. So a lot of people move into Fairfield, and eventually, because we're such a heavily retired community, eventually they need assistance living independently, and so they can start here with assisted living. There's also a full rehab facility here, and then there's full nursing care as well. So this is attractive to a lot of retirees. So you can see it's really a beautiful area, and you can see why it might be attractive to people to move to Fairfield, knowing that when they're unable to live independently, they could come here to Good Samaritans. I'll give you a better view of the main facility. To my right, you see the Bluffs development, and so in Fairfield you can buy anything from a condo, a mobile home, to a single family home, and then this Bluffs development is one of the cottage home developments, and so the homes are privately owned, kind of like a condominium, but the maintenance and the lawn care is all done by a property owners association. So you can live there in a standalone house, but you don't have to worry about any maintenance or lawn care. Neighborhoods here have some beautiful bluff views. You can just see forever off some of these lots, and it's a very popular area of Fairfield. Trail parking area, more of the paved walking trails. So what we've done is made a big loop around the west side of Fairfield Glade. We're coming back up to Peavine Road, which is the main thoroughfare of Fairfield Glade. Peavine Road comes from the interstate into Fairfield Glade, and then is kind of the main road into and through Fairfield. Coming up on the right is the turnoff to the Stonehenge golf course. So we saw that on the other side off Stonehenge Drive, and now you could cut through here and go up to Stonehenge from this end of Catoosa. So now we're headed south on Peavine Road. On my right you see the St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church. On the left, it's a little bit hard to see, we'll get a better view, is the fire hall. On the right is Mirror Lake, and so this is another area that hosts a lot of events. So they have music there one night a week through the summer. There's a food vendor there, and that's a really popular area. And then we're coming right back up to the square where we started. See, today at the square is Farmers Market Day. So there you can see the tents set up and all the cars there, and that happens every Wednesday through the summer months. So it's a farmers market. There's produce, there's also like homemade soaps and canned goods and those kind of things there at the farmers market. So I'm going to turn back down Stonehenge Drive and take you over to the Stonehenge Golf Course. This is the signature golf course in Fairfield Glade. So a very beautiful course, a nice clubhouse there with a restaurant and a pro shop. And so we'll drive down and take a quick look there. So again, this is where we started, and we're passing the center on the right, and then the Covenant Health Wellness Center. And then this next turn will take us over to the Stonehenge Golf Course. So you probably notice some of the model home signs. So Fairfield is a little different than some communities in the sense that there's not one developer who does all of the building here. So any contractor can build in Fairfield. You can hire your own contractor to build on your own lot, or you can buy a spec house that was built by a contractor, and they have to go through an approval process in order to get a building permit here in Fairfield. But there's not just one builder, and sometimes when people come into these communities, they think that they have to work directly with the developer, and that's not the case here. And we'll just do a quick drive-by through here, but I thought that it'd be nice to see this clubhouse so you'll know where Stonehenge is, and this is really the only restaurant right now that Fairfield owns. There is a restaurant in the mall, but it's privately owned. So the Stonehenge Bar and Grill is here, and that is Fairfield's only restaurant until they get Druid finished up. Now the other golf clubs have some snack bars, but not a sit-down restaurant. Okay, so we'll head out of here, and then we'll make our loop on the other side of Peavine Road. Going out toward Peavine, this is Fairfield Boulevard. Now over to the right, you see some of the Wyndham units. Actually, right and left, you see the Wyndham units. Those are the timeshare units. Wyndham is actually pulling out of Fairfield Glade at the end of this year, and so there's some uncertainty as to what will happen to those units. They're trying to sell them, but whether they'll continue to be timeshare units is yet to be known. To the right is Cumberland Eye Care. That's one of the ophthalmologists in town. He has an office in town and also here in Fairfield Glade. So we're coming up to Peavine Road, and this time we're going to take a left, and we're going to go out toward Westchester, and we'll drive out toward the Dorchester golf course. turning right onto Westchester Drive. I'm heading out toward the Dorchester golf course. One thing I like about this drive is the mountain views that you get as you head out this way. There's been some construction through here. I think they're running gas lines, natural gas. There are a lot of building lots all over Fairfield Glade, but it seems like they kind of develop one area at a time, and this area off Westchester is one of the areas right now that you see a lot of new construction going on. You're about to see Lake Glastonbury. This is one of the 11 lakes. Over to our right, we're crossing the dam. And we're coming up on the Dorchester golf course. Again, 5 golf courses in Fairfield Glade. Now at the Dorchester Golf Club, they also have the adult pool. We'll turn in here and take a look at this. So to the right, you can see this adult pool. Again, today is October 1st and it's about 80 degrees, but typically things kind of wrap up here around Labor Day, so you don't see anyone swimming, but this is a really popular location during the summer months. On the summer days, they've already lowered the water, getting ready for winter here. And then as I turn, you can see the Dorchester clubhouse. All of the courses are really pretty, but this one has some of the best mountain views in my opinion. It's a really pretty course to play. And we'll head back the way we came on Westchester. And then I'll make a turn and drive over around the Druid Hills area. Now again, you see all of these roads turning off of Westchester, and just like on Stonehenge and Catoosa, this is one of the main roads, and so really to get into the neighborhoods and get a feel for that, you'd have to turn off on some of these roads, and we'll see a little bit of that as we go into the Druid Hills area. But you can get online obviously and check out what some of the homes look like on the MLS, on Realtor.com, Zillow, etc. But I wanted just to kind of give you an overview of what the community in general looks like, so that's why I've kind of stuck to the main roads instead of getting into the neighborhoods. Maybe that's another video for another day. Another trailhead that you see there. The signs at some of the trailheads are the hiking marathon signs. So in October, every year there's a hiking marathon, and so they designate 26.2 miles of trails to be part of the hiking marathon, and a lot of people go out during that month and try to do as much of that as they can. If you do the whole marathon, you get a t-shirt. They have a celebratory luncheon and recognize everyone who's hiked the entire marathon. We're going to turn left on Lakeview Drive, and this will have a little bit of a neighborhood, a little bit more of a neighborhood feel. We're going toward the Druid Hills Golf Course from here. Now, this Druid Hills area in general is one of the older areas of Fairfield Glade, and so the homes on this end are a little bit newer, but you'll see some of the older homes as we go through here, and a lot of these have been updated and redone. There's a huge variety of housing available here in Fairfield Glade. I don't know if you can see it really well, but on my left is the Christ Lutheran Church. There's several churches in Fairfield of just about any denomination, and then some non-denominational ones as well. Coming up on the Druid Hills library and mini golf. There's a little meeting room there in the library, and then there's an art guild and the Druid Hills pool. This is a family pool, and again, it's closed for the season. Looks like they're doing some maintenance there today. I'm going to kind of turn in the back way to the clubhouse here. There's a lot of construction going on. So this area, they actually tore down the old Druid Hills Golf Club, and they're rebuilding a new one, and you'll see all of that as we go through here, but you'll see a lot of construction and their temporary clubhouse there. Behind the clubhouse, I don't know how well you can see it, is the golf garage, and that's new for this area. And then over to the right, that's kind of hard to see, beside the driving range is the new 18-hole putting green called the Quarry, and that's been really fun to play. So you can see to my right where construction's going on for the new clubhouse. Now, all through here you can catch a glimpse of this Druid Hills golf course. Now I want to go back out to Peavine Road from here so that you can see what kind of restaurants, shops, banks, etc. are here in Fairfield Glade. So this will kind of drop us out back on Peavine Road, sort of in the center of the business district, if you want to call it that. But Fairfield is kind of a community within Crossville, but you don't have to drive all the way back to Crossville for a lot of things. So right here in Fairfield Glade, when we come back out to Peavine Road, you'll see a couple of banks and a Weigel's gas station. On my left, it's a little bit hard to see, is the new Veterans Memorial. I've done a video about that before, and it's almost complete now, so I'll try to come back out and redo that. And then we have Robin Hood Park, and that's just an area there on the lake with the picnic pavilion. So you can see as we pull out here, you've got Regions Bank and One Bank, both here on Peavine Road. And so now we're coming up on the Weigel's convenience store and gas station. Over on the left are some more townhomes. Those are the those are the Lakeshore Terrace townhomes. And now we're leaving Fairfield Glade per se, but there are still some businesses here along this route, so I'll point a couple of those out before we end our tour. Coming up on one of my favorite businesses in Fairfield, and that's the Custard Cabin. They have homemade custard, frozen custard, and then they have some sandwiches and salads for lunch. There's a Dollar General and an Ace Hardware. And then kind of tucked away here by this gas station, well, there's a Casa Grande Mexican restaurant, but then tucked away here is Willow Catering, and that's one of my favorite places to grab lunch while I'm out here. So you should definitely check that out. And then on the left, I'm not sure if you can see it really well, is the police department. So Fairfield has their own security. And coming up on the right is the Food City grocery store. So this is a really nice grocery store. There's also a Food City in Crossfield, but you don't have to go all the way into Crossfield to do your shopping. You can do it right here in Fairfield Glade. There's a gas station there as well, and inside the grocery store is a Starbucks. And then you can see a vet clinic. There's a Domino's Pizza back there, Benchmark Physical Therapy, and the Dollar Tree. And that pretty much wraps up everything here in Fairfield Glade. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what else you'd like to see, and come and visit us here in beautiful Fairfield Glade.